Hello everybody and welcome back to another video for the day. We're going back into r/Am I the Devil, which is kind of like I'm the A-hole, except super duper, yeah, you very much are. So yeah, you're caught up to speed on that. Let's get into this. If you guys would like to be absolutely amazing, show your support, and see more videos like this one in the near future, be sure to hit the like button, leave a comment down below to start up them wholesome internet discussions, and if you guys have not already, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications. That engagement I absolutely appreciate because it really does help out the channel. Am I the a-hole for secretly eating takeout food my pregnant wife cannot eat because she has gestational diabetes? My wife, 34F, and I, 35M, have been married for 10 years and have been together for 15. She is 7 months pregnant and has gestational diabetes, which has been very hard on her, and by extension, very hard on me too and our relationship. Her doctor has strictly recommended she follows a strict diet, and that means no sugar or high-calorie foods such as Alfredo sauce, pizza, and the likes. Naturally, she has been very upset because she has cravings, but there's no way that she can indulge. She has gotten sick of the alternatives suggested for her and would start sobbing sometimes when we go outside because she sees all of these food places only to realize that she cannot eat what she wants. I feel for her. I really do. Our relationship started to break down a little when she started taking her anger out on me. My offense? Ordering the things I like to eat, such as cookies, cheese, frozen snacks. We get groceries delivered to us, by the way, just like any other person does. She was extremely mad at me for being able to enjoy these things and made me feel guilty for eating stuff she craves. My breaking point was once she cried over the fact that I brought home a box of donuts that I had received from office on my birthday. I was sick of her behavior and constant policing of my food intake in a home that I, in no uncertain terms, made it very clear that she cannot punish me for a health problem that she has. And that it is my house, too, and I will eat and drink whatever and whenever I please. We had a bad argument that day, and I uttered divorce. That seemed to shake us both. And we did a few sessions of marital counseling. To keep it short, our therapist held her accountable and shared that it was unfair on me to be at the receiving end of her emotional distress. However, she also emphasized that my wife is probably feeling unsupported too, and I could try to be a little more discreet and stick to making healthier meals together, which would be great for both of us, since my wife cannot make up for excess blood sugar she has by working out a lot. She is chubby and has bad knees. I can see why she feels helpless. As a solution, I decided to stock up on the forbidden foods in the second fridge we have in the drawing room of our home that we use to store drinks and guest snacks for. It's better when reminders of these things she craves but can't eat and not there in the common fridge. This also means I can almost never order takeout at home, and sometimes I miss doing that while watching Netflix. I still miss having the occasional pasta dish at the Cheesecake Factory or McDonald's, so sometimes when I drive home from work, I eat in my car, keeping the therapist's reminder triggers in mind, because I know my wife, knowing that I ate stuff she can't, will make her mad. Yesterday, though, I took my wife on a long drive and she found a receipt of the Cheesecake Factory on the floor. At the moment when she found it, she started sobbing and wouldn't talk to me. She is now pissed at me and feels like I have betrayed her. I think she is overreacting. I don't think I am wrong, since 80% of the meals I have in a week are with her, so I try to have takeouts without her on Fridays mostly. I do not think that I'm the a-hole because wife and I have an agreement that I will be discreet when I want to indulge in food I want to eat, so that she does not get triggered every time. Am I the a-hole? Edit. There is still resentment I have against her for ruining my birthday. Basically, the gift that I got from my wife that day was her yelling at me and me uttering divorce and ending the night in tears. I still hate her for it, for creating a bad memory. Likely I won't be able to erase, but I am working on it. I feel the same way too when I read what I wrote. I do not want to hate her, but I do. I still cry thinking about how we fought for something seemingly innocent, and I feel so wronged that no one sees that this was unfair and borderline abusive for me. To be at the receiving end of this as a spouse, because I happen to be a husband in this dynamic. I am not sure about therapy for this, but I grew up poor, and food insecurity was a big part of my childhood. It makes me feel pretty bad that now I have the means to provide for myself and I still cannot do what I want. But no one sees my trauma and why I want to be able to make my own decisions too. And even if I didn't have this trauma, I shouldn't need a reason to act with autonomy as long as I am supportive with her and being considerate about her food issues, which I positively have acknowledged in therapy with her and am doing my part, even though I and our therapist agreed that her initial demands were ridiculous. I was made to feel like a horrible, horrible person for simply bringing a box of donuts my coworkers had gotten me on my birthday, when there was no malice involved, no bad intentions, no desire to rub it in her face or whatever else of the world calls it. I regret being a married man that day, and I wish that I had never met her. I have never let anyone bring my self-esteem down in the way my wife did. I have never given anyone else the power to hurt me like she did, and I want to take it away. No one has ever made me feel like a criminal for eating a donut and storing the rest in the fridge inside of the house I own too. Ah yes, you know, that little editing part on top of that, the good old cherry of it all. Yeah, congratulations, that single-handedly solidified you as being the a-hole. You're calling it trauma and abuse for not being allowed to eat a donut. Really? Last I checked, what was it that your wife had? Gestational diabetes? Yes, you might want to look up the definition of what diabetes is. And considering I didn't know what it was beforehand, but I did look it up, and in a lot of cases, gestational diabetes goes away after you give birth. Meaning, all you had to do was kind of just, tough it out for a little while, and then you'd be able to go back to eating all your normal stuff. But yet, you want to try to spin this all in your favor, like this was for some reason a traumatic experience for you, and you will never recover. Yeah, way to go, trying to get the leap to that conclusion. Am I the a-hole for trying to give my son his birth photos? I tried to give my son his birth photos, and now he's upset at me / won't talk to me. Context: I, 64F, have one child, 31M, who I admit we spoiled. We gave him everything: food, birthdays, paid for every activity on vacation. On paper, he's a perfect son, did well in school, never got in trouble, visits often, sends flowers on my birthday and Mother's Day. He even pays for a lot now that he's working. Still, he has always acted extremely ungrateful considering all that we've done for him. I can tell he keeps me at a distance and calls maybe once a week at most. Doesn't share very much about his life when he does, and when he visits, he'll do things like demand I turn down the TV if he's doing something for work, studying, not realizing this is our place, not his. Last year, my husband and I took him and his girlfriend to a cabin for the weekend, and even though I paid for everything, he asked if he could take the larger room. The reason was he has a severe cat allergy, asthma, and that was the only room not covered in cat hair. Sure, it made logical sense, but it still seemed extremely rude since I pay for the whole trip. I know I'm not the only one already sold on the fact that this person is the a-hole off of the context alone. The story: so he visited again for a week on his vacation, which was nice, but things soon started to go south. For starters, he slept in every morning. He preferred to sleep than spend that extra time with us. Great! He's a medical resident, and so I get that he works a lot of hours, but it still seemed very selfish. The second to last day he was there, my husband tried to wake him up around 6 to 7 a.m. to see if he would go with him to see his new workplace. My son basically just said no and went back to sleep. I was furious. I can't even do this one thing for his dad, who is proud of his new job. When he finally got up around 9 a.m., I was very upset. He asked me why I was so angry, and I told him. He got extremely defensive, saying that he could just try to visit later in that day, and he didn't see what the big deal was. He just didn't get it. It wasn't the timing. It was the fact that he didn't seem to care enough to sacrifice his precious sleep to show his dad that he cares. I got so angry that I went upstairs and got all of his birth photos together and gave them to him in a plastic bag, saying that I don't want a son who is ungrateful and can't do the bare minimum for us. I kid you not. He basically laughed in my face and refused to take them, saying that I was overreacting. I was furious. I could tell that he was also upset, and he just said he couldn't believe what I did. Hello? What about what you did? What, sleeping in? How dare they? And didn't talk to me for the rest of the visit. He's never behaved this rudely, nor talked back like this before. It's been a month now, and he is still barely responding. I get that I maybe lost my temper, but in my defense, 1, they are photos of him. 2, he hasn't really shown us that he appreciates us. And 3, it's not like I was angry out of nowhere. Oh yes, you were just angry for no justifiable reason. Great. My husband agrees with me, but my son still maintains what I did was wrong. Am I the a-hole? Edit. I am very surprised by the responses so far. You are the only one that's surprised by the responses so far. Trust me, there are far more examples of how he has been ungrateful and disrespectful in the past, but I won't bother since it seems like I've been judged. Y'all know for a fact this person pulling the my house, my rules thing, that in their head it only goes one way. When they go over to their kid's house, yeah, no, that don't apply. So let me get this straight. You have your kid who's a full-grown ass adult. God forbid they happen to want to sleep in because they don't work that day, and you have a problem with them not being up at 6 or 7 in the morning when they just want to sleep. They didn't even say anything rude. All they said is no, and they even offered to visit later in the day. Just God forbid they didn't want to wake up. Plus also, you didn't show them any respect whatsoever with the volume thing, because that very much seems like something that could have easily been dealt with. But no, again, like you said, my house, my rules. You don't need to get any sleep or anything. It's not like you're a guest or anything. Really could have just avoided this whole situation by going out and getting a Bluetooth headset, because lo and behold, they make those that actually connect to TVs. But yet you want to say that just because you've spent money on stuff for your kid, that means that your kid needs to then deal with whatever you happen to be doing. Oh yeah, and the asthma thing. Yeah, God forbid they happen to want to pick a room that is not going to have them get an asthma attack, but your biggest issue was the fact that the room just so happened to be a bigger. And then way to top it all off by ending it with stating, oh yeah, no, they don't want to talk to me much anymore compared to before. Yeah, because you treated them like crap. Somebody treating me like Doki, I wouldn't be inclined to randomly call them and ask how their day was. Would I be the a-hole if I did not help my daughter, who might become homeless due to her decisions to live with me again? I have a daughter, 28F, who has always considered herself independent and never had the best communication with me ever since she turned 18. She has always ignored my advice and acted like she knows too much. She studied comp sci at university, even though I warned her that tech careers were a bubble waiting to burst, just like in the early 2000s. I advise her to use her math skills to do something useful like actuarial science and work in a finance or insurance. I am not too disappointed about that, as ultimately it is her career and it made her happy. But then she went on to do a master's as well and took on more debt to do, even though everyone told her that it was useless. Then she quit a nice stable job and went to a flashy job in the Bay Area for a major tech company. More on this later. Then, she just last year bought a one-bedroom apartment and put all of her savings into it after she had only just paid off student loans and got a mortgage. I had told her to find herself a man before doing this so that they have a dual income safety net. But she wants to make it alone, as refuses to even consider it, and says her dog is enough. Literally days after she moved to her new place, she got laid off, and since then refused to take on simpler jobs and instead only did Uber and DoorDash, which did not cover her expenses. I told her to take on other work, cashier, waitress, cleaner, etc., but she refused due to her ego. Her excuse was needing time to practice for interviews. How does one even do that? Most interviews have taken and conducted usually are just about talking through one's experiences and leadership skills and verifications of certs. She has not found a job since and claims that if she does something else, it will be harder to get back into tech. She called me begging and asked to either borrow money or let her sell her place and come back to live with me. I have not answered yet, but I have been contemplating refusing since I feel that she has brought this on herself. It is not just her decisions. After she left, she has insinuated that we liked her less because she was adopted, and she had to do more chores than our son. While she did do more, she did so voluntarily at the time, and it was hardly anything out of the ordinary. At the same time, if I refuse, she might weaponize that as our son still lives with us, although he is younger and has always followed our advice. Would I be the a-hole if I refuse, especially considering her attitude after she left? She claims she has nowhere, but she had many friends that will likely let her couch surf. I have the ability to lend money, but I'm not sure that she deserves it. Being laid off is something that nobody can ever anticipate. It's just, one day you wake up, go into the office, and people say, yeah, you don't have a job anymore for some reason. That's not anything that anybody plans for, and it seems like they were trying to have something that was very much going to work for them. Just because it didn't line up with what you thought was good for them, that doesn't mean that them not going with you is a bad decision. A winery picnic led me back to the love of my life. However, my happiness is being tainted by his ex's homewreckers' accusations about me. Advice needed. Reposting again due to issues with the title. My partner, male, and I, female, are both 26. We recently started dating again, and it has been just under 2 months. After a devastating breakup 3 years ago. We broke up due to long distances as my dad had died and I didn't have the emotional bandwidth to commit to a relationship. We never wanted to break up and circumstances at the time were just bad. So, a few months ago, a good friend from school invited me to celebrate her parents' vow renewal ceremony at a beautiful hill town, and they went all out with a celebration. I hadn't seen my then ex at the time, and was pleasantly surprised to see him. When I saw him at the villa, I felt an instant flutter in my heart. After the party, my ex and I caught up and talked the whole night. When we shared a dance together, it was very warm, relaxing, and sweet. It felt like the old time. I got to know he had a girlfriend already, and he had been with her for 1.5 years. And I was comfortable enough to make a flirty joke about how quickly he found a new girl. He was just the same person I once knew, and I was a little sad as well because I really wanted him back. I loved him still, and sensed that he had the same feelings for me too. However, I tried to be respectful and didn't make a move. Before the trip, I already had plans to visit this winery that this hill town was known for. I invited my ex to come with me. I know, bold move. We had a great time wine tasting and sat together soaking up the sun on the grass and had a really lovely picnic. I was drunk and blurted out that I regret that our relationship ended, and if my dad was still here, we'd still be together. I told him I never stopped loving him and how he was and still is the love of my life. He reciprocated that he was in love with me too, but we didn't do anything physically. He decided that he needed to end things with his then girlfriend, and after some time, we started dating again. Honestly, I am so glad my friend invited me and I met my boyfriend. I know, as cheesy as it may sound, I feel like there was a bigger reason for us to suddenly meet again. I am so in love with him and so happy that we are back together. My Instagram profile is open and I posted 2 photos in an album that showed how much we have grown. I am ecstatic that we are together, and in a way that feels like my father's blessing from heaven. However, his ex sent a barrage of nasty messages to me and called me a homewrecker. I know that we got feelings for each other, but I don't think we had any control over that. We didn't do anything physically besides holding hands, as it was getting a little cold at the winery during sunset. And we both was to be outstandingly honest with one another, and we only got together after we ended things with her as soon as the trip was over. She has been contacting my friends and other people I know and saying horrible things about me. She has already called me horrible names and has attempted to tarnish my boyfriend's name to her common friends, who have been letting us know that what she had been up to. All of this has been extremely upsetting for both of us, and I don't know how to put an end to it. I should have been cherishing our relationship and not having a deal with a scornful ex who's doing all of this for petty revenge. So wait, you met up with your ex at a place and you knew that they were already in a relationship, but you figured, I love this person so much, we need to break up with them. Or they need to break up with the person they're dating at the time. Yeah, I do believe you are a little bit of an a-hole. I think your significant other, the ex, is also an a-hole. And yeah, I feel like if somebody walked into 2 people in a relationship and convinced your significant other to break up with you, yeah, I'd be a little upsetty spaghetti too. Am I the a-hole for correcting people who thought my brother was a girl? I have a little brother, 26M, who is 5'5" and skinny. He also has long hair down to his armpits. Additionally, he has kind of full lips, high cheeks, and groomed eyebrows. So, with all of that in mind, he gets mistaken for a girl a lot. I really didn't realize he kind of looked like a girl until this whole thing happened, and I thought about it. He just looked like the same little brother to me, but with unusually long hair. On Saturday, he came up to me, and we did our usual routine of heading to our Target to get Starbucks. We did a little shopping, and a lady who was in her way said, "Oh, I'm sorry, miss." I went, "Yeah, he's a boy." She gave him a weird look and walked away. It happened again with the cashier, who said, "Thanks for shopping with us, miss." I corrected him the same way. He apologized, and my brother gave me a puzzled look. Then, at Starbucks, the barista asked, "Will that be all, miss?" I corrected her, and she apologized, saying he looks just like her younger sister. My brother turned to me and said, "You need to stop. I literally don't care either way. They're just words." People were looking over at us, so I said nothing and went back to the car. My brother told me to never correct anybody again because he didn't mind, and that it was apparently jeopardizing his safety to say anything at all. I told him to chill out because I was just letting him know he's a man. He went, "Well, they probably think they're gonna get fired now. If I don't care what people call me, neither should you." I dropped it, and then as we pulled in, I joked about my blank 15 identifying as a crossbow to try and soothe the detention. He called me a moron, told me that he was done with me, got back in his car, and drove away. So, I'm curious if I'm the a-hole. The rest of the family thinks he overreacted and should just grow some stubble so this doesn't happen. And supposedly his friends think that I'm a horrible person. If someone tells you to stop, then that's it. If anybody is going to be correcting anybody about misgendering somebody, it's gonna be the person who is being misgendered. You don't need to re-correct anybody for them. I can't remember exactly what video it was a while back, but there was a portion of a video, I think maybe a month or two back, where I showed my face for, I would say, probably about 5 seconds. And you could see, yeah, I'm a guy with long hair. I haven't cut my hair since before the beer virus. It's been that long. So like 2018, 2019. So yeah, I look like I have a golden retriever on my forehead. Or head. That thing. The thing above my shoulders, that's the word. And yeah, I've had people call me ma'am in the past. I just kind of waved it off because to me, it wasn't that big of an issue. And for other people, I know it can be very much something that can get to people after a while. But depending on whether or not you feel you need to correct somebody, you shouldn't do that for somebody else. If you're going to do that, you do that for yourself. But with that, that is going to have to be it with the video. If you guys would like to be absolutely amazing, show your support, and see more videos like this one in the near future, be sure to hit that like button, leave a comment down below to start up them wholesome internet discussions, and if you guys have not already, subscribe to the channel and turn on them notifications. And I'll be sure to see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and bye-bye!